Greetings builders, Daniel here, and today I'm gonna show you 3 of the most played builds during the 3rd week of the Settlers of Kalgor League. If you wanna try any of those, you can find links for POBs and complete guides in the video description. And if this video helps you, please leave a thumbs up to support the channel. Thank you very much, and let's get into it! Let's start with this explosive build that is being played by almost 10% of high level players, the Hex Blast Mind Saboteur with the Shadow class. Hex Blast is a very interesting skill that deals a lot of extra damage if the enemy it hits is already cursed. Besides that, it also creates a big pulse of damage that destroys all nearby monsters. That's why it's important that our enemies are always cursed. To list the pros of this build, I would start with how powerful it gets with low investment. With cheap and easy to find items, we're going to make bosses disappear with your mind chain reactions. Part of that is because Hex Blast can naturally shock, freeze and ignite enemies, and if that wasn't good enough, it also considers the lowest resistance the enemy has before calculating the damage. This build is also very fast and deals a lot of area damage. It's super satisfying to clear maps this way. Above all, you can throw your mines from a long distance and stay far from danger. Now to list the cons, I will start saying that mine gameplay isn't for everyone. Some players just can't get used to the detonation mechanic, but trust me, it's worth giving a try because mine builds have huge potential. Another issue is that this character is not very tanky. Because of that, you need to always mind your position or you might die. As for budget, this build is cheap. You can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 70 chaos. To comfortable advanced 3 yellow maps, I recommend investing around 150 chaos, and for easily completing your atlas, I recommend investing around 4 divines. Don't forget that on poebuilds.net you can find a list with all the equipment that you need to buy for this build, with direct links for examples being sold by other players. You only need one mandatory unique item for this build, the Profane Proxy Ring that causes one of your Skither bots to have a curse aura. This way, the enemies you hit with your Hex Blast are always going to trigger the big area damage, increasing a lot your clear speed. For clear speed, I'll give this build 9 out of 10. You are very fast and your mines explode in a big area, killing many monsters at once. It's very comfortable to clear maps with this character. The boss damage is also amazing and deserves 9 out of 10. You can stack many mines and delete bosses with a huge detonation. This build has an incredible single target potential, even on a low budget. For the survivability, I'll give it 8 out of 10. Even though you have armor, evasion, spell suppression and can throw your mines from a big distance, this build is still not very tanky and needs to stay still from time to time to deploy the mines. That's why I took 2 points out. Next, we have an amazing build that is tanky, fast and strong. The Bone Shatter Juggernaut with the Marauder class. This build is perfect for the melee enthusiasts out there. Bone Shatter hits enemies so hard that it hurts your own character, accumulating trauma stacks. For each trauma you're going to deal and take more damage. That's why it's important to gather both attack speed and armor to stack many traumas and sustain their damage. To list the pros of this build, I would start with its survivability. Even though you deal damage to yourself, this build has so much armor that you won't feel a thing. Now, because of that, you might think that this build had to sacrifice speed or boss damage, but no, it's still super fast and can kill guardians in just a few seconds. Now, to list the cons, the first thing that comes to mind is that you need to keep an eye on your accuracy. This is because the Keystone Precise technique that grants 40% more damage if your accuracy is bigger than your life. As for budget, this build is cheap. You can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 60 chaos. To comfortable advanced 3 yellow maps, I recommend investing around 120 chaos, and for easily completing your atlas, I recommend investing around 4 divines. For clear speed, I'll give it 9 out of 10. Bone Shatter also creates a big pulse of damage when stunning enemies. That means that a single blow can kill an entire pack of monsters. Other than that, you stack a lot of attack speed that causes your Leap's Land to almost teleport you through the map. The boss damage is also great and deserves 9 out of 10. Using Berserker on bosses causes you to accumulate a lot of trauma stacks and deal huge amounts of damage. For this survivability, I'll give it 9 out of 10. This build has a huge amount of armor and over 80% to all elemental resistances. Above all, it also has permanent fortify and immunity to freeze, bleed and stuns. I only took 1 point out because since the rework on Unbreakable, it's not as tanky as it used to be. Finally, we have a popular and classic skill, and in this build is being used by totems. the Arc Totem's Hierophant with the Templar class. On this build we use many totems that cast the Arc skill for a fast and safe clear speed. Listing the pros of this build, I would start with how cheap and easy it is to complete your Atlas using this beauty. With almost no investment, you have a powerful, safe and fast character that would be the perfect currency farmer for this and future builds. Now to list the cons, this build doesn't have access to evasion or spell suppression, but don't worry, totem builds are very safe to play. Another issue is that some players might find this gameplay to be a little tedious and too easy, but as you know, this is just a matter of taste. As for budget, this is one of the cheapest builds in existence. You can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 35 chaos. To comfortable advance to yellow maps, I recommend investing around 90 chaos, and for easily completing your Atlas, I recommend investing around 3 divines, but you can totally do it with less. This build needs 3 mandatory unique items, but they are normally very cheap and easy to get. The first one is the Soul Mantle Armor, that causes Socket Gems to be supported by a level 20 spell totem. This grants us an extra support skill gem. We also need a Kikazaru Ring to counter the effect of curses. This is because a side effect of Soul Mantle that will apply a random curse on you whenever a totem dies. Finally, we also need the Self-Flagellation Jewel that grants up to 20% increased damage for each curse on you. Thanks to Soul Mantle, you'll be always with around 9 curses, resulting on 180% increased damage. For clear speed, this build gets 9 out of 10. Arc is an awesome skill that chains through many enemies and easily clear big packs. This build counts with 4 totems casting this amazing skill. The boss damage deserves 9 out of 10. With the right debuffs and all 4 totems summoned, this build can take even big bosses down without any issue. For the survivability, I would also give it 9 out of 10. As a totem build, you always be far from action while your totems do all the work. So, if you know how to mind your position, you can easily complete high tier maps with low grade gear. Above all, this build still counts with high armor and high block chance. And that's it for today, guys. Are you playing any of those meta builds? Please take a second to tell me in the comments and leave a thumbs up to support the channel. I wish you guys an amazing day, and don't forget to keep building!